Welcome back, WN, following all things sports, and I was on a little bit of downtime, as I pointed out. I was down out at Yellowstone Park in Montana and fighting forest fires and doing all that. I got back, and I'm sort of on the down low, waiting for the Ravens to play again, and I look on my timeline, and my dear friend Carl Delmont from Fremont Mortgage, who also owns the Harrisburg Heat, shared a post and said Pat Healey is the new head coach of the Harrisburg Heat. And I said, well, let's see. I know Kevin Healey, and I know Pat Healey, and I know Ed Hale, and I know Carl Delmont. I'm going to call Pat and find out how in the world all this happened. The lifer blast guy, the son of the blast guy, all of that stuff to run the Harrisburg Heat. Congratulations, Pat. Welcome in. I know you've been competing with the Harrisburg Heat long enough, and this is an interesting story. And look, my affection for Denison is well worn, as well as you. I remember you when you were a kid, as they were saying, growing up. And this is a neat thing. It's a neat story, and I love the headline. Now I just want to hear, how did it happen, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It kind of caught me a little bit out of surprise. Carl approached me about the idea. We had a few conversations, a few meetings to work out the details a little bit, because I've always been interested. Just didn't think, maybe that's not going to happen, but the team, the next closest to the blast, were interested, and we found ways to make it work, and Carl's been great at solving some little problems I had, but he kind of seeked me out, and like I said, made it work, and I'm going to run with it and see how far we can take this.
It's fascinating. I grew up never wanting to be a coach and never wanting to be run a place, and then I ran a place, and now I sort of run half a place. So, in my 30s, I sort of aspired to not play anymore and coach. And, I don't think of you as 32. I saw the Sun thing. I'm like, hey, Healy's still 20, right? He just got out of high school, right? I remember him doing all that. And, but being the son of a coach, right? And through all of that, I guess it's a very natural thing, right? I mean, when you're 20, you don't see the end. When you're 32, you probably do, right?
Well, I think I was a forward-thinking kind of person. I've always known that there's a time clock on your playing days. There just is, as an athlete in general. So I was always kind of looking for the next thing while enjoying all the great moments I've had as a blast player. We did so well, 5 championships. I couldn't ask for more. Growing up with the team too. But I was always thinking about what's the next thing, and every summer it was kind of like, we got to start looking, and this opportunity came. I was like, this is something where I've always liked teaching the game. I've always, and soccer's been a part of my life for so long. But the idea of not just coaching, but trying to build my own team and see what I can do with it really intrigued me, and I think I can do a great job. And Carl, like I said, we came together, and he's let me do my thing, and we're going to see what we can do in this league. Are
you a player coach or just a coach?
No, I can't. I know myself. Could I be a player coach? Yeah, but I think to make it really, truly as successful, as we can, I have to just move over to the sideline. I will miss playing. That competitiveness, I think it can happen in this league. Donnie Jamber did it for many years in Philadelphia. We have a couple still do it now. But I know myself as a competitor. I know I can teach from the sideline just as well as being on the field, and then put my full effort, in that department will truly be the best interest for the team.
Well, I mean, as you pointed out, you've grown up in this. You've understood not only the rules, the league, the players, the strategies, transitions, franchises coming in, playing in America, playing in Mexico, playing for championships. I can't imagine what your eyes have seen over all 32 years, not just like a lot of these guys that sort of get into the business side of this thing when they're 20 or 21 or 22 and trying to pay their bills. You've been at this from the very beginning. in trying to recruit, and as you've said, put your own team together and recruit guys like you who aren't going to get rich doing this, but are going to dedicate their lives to doing this and wanting to win championships where it's important to them professionally. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions about guys that have been on your team or off of your team, or guys you've had to go out and compete against. This is a fascinating thing that you're taking on here, and I don't know what point you decided to do this or thought about doing this, but this is probably something you'll be better at a year or two from now when you do put more thought into it, because it's probably not occurred to you in that way. It's probably the last couple of weeks you've learned a lot just thinking about who you'd want on your team in a way where maybe you didn't have that ability before, right?
Well, in a way, they always bounce players off of me. Being a leader of a team and they, try to do what's best for the team. If they had a guy they were interested in, they would always ask my opinion. How is he as a player? Have you talked to him? And the great thing is I've made a lot of great friendships, rivals, all kind of thing in this league where when it was announced, I to be honest, I've been on the phone, email, text nonstop with a lot of people who were interested in playing, and a lot of people that want to help me out, help the franchise out, and ultimately get better as a Harrisburg Heat team. So it's been a little interesting. But going back, I actually started out just as a fan. My dad and me and my grandfather would go to, at then it was a Spirit, from what I really remember. Going to Harrisburg Heat games, going to Philadelphia Kick games. So I was just a fan. We were a fan of soccer, going to those things. And then transitioning from that to my dad being, the coach and president, GM of the Blast, that was a completely different thing. And seeing the inside of a team, how do you build a team, going into the locker room, everything, and seeing how professionals act and carry themselves. And truly as a player, that really helped me as a young kid. I really picked out guys that did the right thing, and had successful careers. And I could see where it went wrong and where it went right. And it wasn't just players on the Blast. It was players on other teams that, it's funny, I looked at Hector Marinero and guys like that, and Gino DeFlorio and Harrisburg, David Vascome and David with, when they were the Heat and now the Blast. I looked at those guys and said, I want to do those kind of things and to make a long career in this. I was fortunate enough that in my hometown, but now it's like a complete spin on everything. This is where my dad started. How do you build a team again? Because when he came in, the Spirit were struggling on the field and off the field. So that's why, at 12, 13 years old, this is a throwback to there. And what did he do right, and what did he, to be successful? Like I said, not only on the field, you got to be successful off the field and be out in the community. So it's going to be a bunch of different hats that I'm going to wear, but I'm excited about it because I am truly, everybody, the fantasy footballs and all that, and, building a team, building the best team you can. That's what I'm actually doing right now.
Well, in Harrisburg, where at one point you pointed out you were probably a kid going up to the farm show arena like me back in the Spirit days.
Oh yeah, and that was it's straight up trying to get my grandfather up the stairs was always interesting.
And now trying to build that. I mean, and I talked to Carl about this a lot. Look, the Blast are always trying to build. You've always been a part of the Blast in the move from the Royal Farms Arena out to Towson, and now in Harrisburg, you going up there and playing the last couple of years, knowing that they're trying to rebuild and build a brand where the Hershey Bears have had success up there. People love sports in that part of the world, whether it's State College and like all of that. But you're trying to grow soccer in that area where, quite frankly, they've had a kid that's probably the best kid in our country that plays soccer. You mentioned the Harrisburg Heat, and going to those games 20 years ago, you saw the father of a kid who's an American. We hope is an American legend before it's all over, right?
Yeah, Mark was a great soccer player. Nobody, his father was a great soccer player. Probably, wrong timing, and he would have been a great MLS player, and we'd be talking MLS about him. But he was a great soccer player, knowledgeable, smart, hardworking, and you could just see that, all those great characters and the technical ability then pushed off to Christian. And he has been, I saw him growing up playing, and he was playing. I remember when he was 12 years old playing against 16-year-olds in academy soccer and going, this kid's going to be unbelievable. Quickly he went from unbelievable to a world-class player. That, you never know if that's going to happen, but he, that's what happened in Harrisburg or, in PA Classic and Mannheim. But, he is something that you can look at and say, you can be this one day. You really can.
And he's from your neighborhood, and you're trying to build a soccer brand around that. I understand why Carl is invested in the Harrisburg Heat. I understand why people are invested in soccer, but I've been invested in soccer like your dad, like your family for 40 years. We're always trying to get it to the next level. I mean, and not being in the World Cup really sucked this summer. It really did, man.
It was a tremendous, shot to the heart. It really was. You always hope, just like every sport, you hope they turn it around, they figure things out. We have the resources. In the past, everybody was like, oh, we're not doing this right, we're not doing that right. We have the infrastructure to everything to go right. Now we just have to execute. And we've produced players that are right there. We have Bobby Wood out there that's done great. Now Christian, Tim Way. We got a lot of talent. It's just, can we figure out, we need 15 guys, 20 guys. We can't settle for the 4 or 5. And eventually we're going to get that kid, I always say, the LeBron James of the world that decides to play soccer, and it's going to change our country. It really is. And hopefully Christian becomes that. But until we have that kid that is on that top level, it's going to be a struggle, but we have to build it slow inch by inch and keep working at it.
Pat Healey is our guest. He is the new head coach of the Harrisburg Heat. And you're used to hearing Baltimore Blast when you're talking about Pat Healey. That doesn't roll off the tongue for you, does it? It still sounds a little like, wow, I am, right?
Yeah, I'm six days in, so it's a little weird, but I'm getting used to it.
I want to go back to the back room, how the sausage was made and all this. Because, look, I've known Ed all of my life as well. And from the first time he owned the Blast to the second time and moving the team out to the county and through all of this stuff, Ed was also a pretty big part of this. And Ed's a big part of everything with indoor soccer in this country right now with this league. And always being invested in and always never getting rich on it, right, but always trying to make it work. And I think Carl is also one of those guys. This is an interesting sort of, I'm calling it mind sharing, you know what I mean? Like you going up to Harrisburg and trying to take all you know about what the Baltimore Blast have been and trying to make that work there because it would be really good for the corridor. It really would be.
Yes, it's good for everybody. You need healthy competition. And the only way to do that is for other franchises to be successful. And we built since Ed rebought the team in '98, he's done great things for the league, great things for the team, the community, everywhere.
By the way, that's crazy when you said when Ed rebought the team in '98, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago?
Yeah,
wow. You were like 12. No wonder I still think you're 12,
I was 12. I was in middle school, and I remember it. And
I'm still preoccupied with the 20th century, Pat. I really am.
Yeah, he was involved with, my dad did, minor league indoor, and it was called USISL at the time.
The Bays, right? Yeah.
The Bays, yeah. And, he got back into it with him that way, and he actually just worked for him. Remember, my dad was a banker. He just worked for First Mariner Bank.
By the way, some of these people you'd have to explain it to. I lived through all of this, so I know.
I know. So, he was just his, employee at the blank. So, he got back involved, and, I was a kid always, being around it. So, I got to see everything, but, I'm trying to take all the knowledge that I've learned since 12 years old of building a franchise and making things work and, making my knowledge of what I've done playing-wise and getting to know people and the relationships that I've built and seeing, if 1 or 2 guys can come in, but also building the relationships that I did have with the Harrisburg Heat players before this. I really did, just because they're the close rival. You fight. I'm a person. I fight hard on the field. I want to win every game. But off the field, you have relationships. You go out. You know each other. You get to know each other very well.
Well, in the case of Ed Hale, I want to give you my crazy Ed Hale story. You ready for this one? Because I know you've known Ed forever. Ed's building the building over there, right? The First Mariner Bank Tower, and it's a shell. And the only thing in it is like sort of this cage elevator. I mean, the workers are in there like laying cement and stuff, right? So Ed's like, I'm going to get a hard hat. I'm going to go out. I'm going to show you this thing. It's going to be unbelievable. And I went out there, and we took the...
It is unbelievable. What he's done to Canton is truly magnificent from
Dude,
where it was.
He took me up in that tower when it was like concrete shell, and I went up to the top, and he showed me where the penthouse is going to be and where the boardrooms are going to be, and it's literally nothing but gray concrete. It's like March. It's windy. It's 41 degrees out. And I'm out there. I'm afraid of heights. I should point this out as well. He's got me out on the ledge of this thing with a heart. It's probably I've never bungee jumped. My wife's going to get me zip lining. It's right up there with the craziest things I've ever done, was go up into that building before with a hard hat on. So that's my Ed Hale crazy story.
Yeah, not shocking. Not shocking. But I'm sure there's crazier ones everybody has. But it's great what they've built there. I remember going there young because Drew Burns is right where the team practice is right across the street, and then seeing what he did with all that. It's truly, he made it like a suburb with all the restaurants and Target and everything. It's truly a place to go, and for people that live and not have to go real far to enjoy some simple things in life.
I go over there. We do all of our shopping over in Canton, especially when my mom was still alive that way. But Ed actually brought me into the boardroom at First Mariner, whatever, it's 20 years ago, and showed me all the layouts of what Canton was going to look like. And it looks almost exactly what he didn't get the boats in there. He wanted to do the ships coming into that side of the harbor. But other than that, every single part of it, everything Ed told me was going to happen has happened. And Ed was a big part of allowing this to happen for you, right? To go up to Harrisburg. His relationship with Carl, he really does see the league as something everybody needs to be good for the league to be good. He knows that.
Yeah, Carl is a great sponsor of the Blast, and still is a sponsor of the Blast with Fremont Mortgage.
And WNST as well, yes.
And WNST, yeah. He sponsors a lot of people. That's a good thing. That's why he has success and why Fremont Mortgage is successful, because of Carl. Carl's heart is really in it, and just things weren't going right, and he. We had a good relationship. He actually was a sponsor of when I played outdoor at Crystal Palace in the USL. He was a sponsor, and he kind of came over to the Blast with that, and I brought him over.
We're going to get Coach Billick out to speak to the Celtic kids as well coming up in the fall.
Exactly. He has a lot of hats that he wears, but he does it all. And like I said, his heart is truly into soccer. It's unbelievable. The ideas he wants to do and get kids out, because he really is truly in for the community and the kids. That's what he's always only trying to do. He's trying to help those two branches out, and by doing all these things, he's making it work.
Pat Healey is here. He is the new head coach of the Harrisburg Heat, along with our partner, Carl Delmont of Fremont Mortgage. They're making it work up in Harrisburg. It's a great story, dude. I'm glad you could shed some light on it. I'll talk to Carl. I'll bring Ed on, your dad, everybody, and talk to them as the season gets going. Where are we with the season schedule, players, camps, all that good stuff? When's all that happening?
We do have tryouts. I'm looking for players on September 22nd and 23rd. Camp will start in November. First game is either depending on the exact arena dates, it's either December 1st or November 30th. That's the first dates that people can kind of have.
Think Thanksgiving. That's what we're going to think, yeah.
After Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving's a little earlier this year. So it's after Thanksgiving, but it cuts out those Thanksgiving times that you don't have. So that's when the season's going to start. like I said, training camp. We're going to do some. Probably might have another tryout somewhere, not in the Harrisburg Heat, Harrisburg area, just because trying to look for players. But we're I'm looking everywhere, and I using all my connections to try to find, if you can play, come try out for the Harrisburg Heat. That's for sure.
Hey, bud, great having you on, man. Congratulations. I tell everybody to find you on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but you don't do any of that stuff. So I'm sending everybody out to the HarrisburgHeat.com website.
Heat, Facebook, their Twitter, their Instagram. I do like looking at Instagram because, there's funny things out there, but not personally. I will not post anything. That's just not who I am. But go to HarrisburgHeat.com and, Harrisburg Heat Facebook for all the details, for the tryouts, for the team, for tickets, everything like that.
Good, man. Hey, I appreciate you making some time and coming on and telling us the whole story, because I followed it over the weekend on social media, and I'm like, well, I'm going to find out what's really going on now.
Everybody's saying the same thing. Don't worry. Everybody's like, what just happened?
Well, that's why I do the interview with him now. You can say, hey, I talked to Nestor for 20 minutes. Go listen to that, and you'll find out everything that happened, okay?
I've gotten so many people have said, is this for real? Like, it's not April, it's not April. No, it's true. Believe it. This is what I'm doing. We're going to make it work.
Dogs and cats.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been trying to beat the Harrisburg Heat. Now he's going to join them. He's the new head coach of the Harrisburg Heat, Pat Healey. You can learn more at HarrisburgHeat.com. Big appreciation for Carl Delmont and Fremont Mortgage for all they do for us here. They are sponsoring our community and charity series, as well as all of our swabbings for the Bone Marrow Registry coming up into the fall. We'll be getting some Ravens players out. Coach Billick is going to join us. We're going to be doing some cool stuff. Be telling you more about that as the fall rolls on. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you happen to be. The morning newspaper delivers to your email inbox each and every morning, 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's always $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, guaranteed. Also brought to you by the Maryland Jockey Club, where they're racing down at Laurel Park. The entries are on the front of WNST.net. They're also in our morning newspaper each and every morning, and they are racing the Maryland Millionaire on October the 20th. I'll be 50 years old by then. I'll also be back from Nashville. We still have space on our Nashville road trip. If you want to join us for my 50th birthday, I turned 50 on the day of the Ravens-Titans game. Kind of weird the Ravens are playing the Oilers on my 50th birthday. It's kind of weird. We're going to the Jack Daniels Distillery the next day. Trips on sale, very affordable. We'd love to have you along, but I need to know this week. It is my deadline. Trip goes off sale next week. So throw me a note, nasty@WNST.net. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.